Okay, next news topic of the week, and this one looks really, really interesting. Fallout Bakersfield. I mean, we've got some video running here which should sort of emphasize how very, very cool this is. But Alex, you brought this to our attention. Tell me why.
Did I? I can't remember if John did. But either way, this trailer is really cool because for a long time, I would say actually since Fallout 2, Fallout 3 did change the graphical presentation as well as the approach to game design that we saw in those Bethesda Fallout titles. I would say the community of people who loves these games have always kind of really wanted to go back to that original style of game design, maybe to a degree, as well as the original artwork design, which was super gritty. I actually love it. And this trailer for Fallout Bakersfield is special in a lot of ways. I think one of the first things that we should definitely talk about is the art design in it. It is like a first person with RPG systems, it seems like, game developed in the original style of like Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, probably more Fallout 1 even. And here you can just see there's so many really cool I would say 2D visual design elements that have been brought into it because it runs on GZDoom, which is not an engine you see being used for many things other than some like niche indie projects. Like John covered, I always call it Silico, but Celico, whoever you want to pronounce it. Yeah. That is another game. And here they're using it to such an amazing degree, and it's all stylistically driven. Like, you don't need to do this stuff to have a game look good, but they're doing it and it makes it look wholly unique. I really love the gun animation stuff. It must be running at like 15 FPS, but then like they're rendered out frames of like 2D frames of what are 3D models at a low resolution, and it also rendered out the motion blur on the animations. Yep. So it looks crazy. It's something like I haven't ever seen that before in a game, and it looks like that 90s CG look that you'd see in like your StarCraft or, you know, the Fallout series. And it's amazing. The environments themselves too, like low res, lack of texture filtering on a lot of objects. The HUD though is like super crisp, and it looks, I don't know, John, what do you think about this trailer?
I mean, yeah, they did perfectly capture the aesthetic of Fallout 1 and 2. The HUD itself is very specifically in that style. And it has, you know, the little messages that indicate everything that you've performed, all your actions, like those older style games. But yeah, it is genuinely stunning. They've done amazing work with rendering out those different, especially the sprite animation on the guns, which just looks excellent. But it has the look of those original games in 3D. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned that it uses GZDoom, and it is important to note, you know, you see things thrown about like, oh, it's a total conversion for Doom. But GZDoom itself has evolved into something far beyond what the Doom engine actually is, right? Like, you could not actually do this in the original Doom engine.
No.
But it does present itself in a very different way than most modern engines, where like with Unreal or something, to achieve this look, you've got to essentially strip back all the things it's designed to do. And it's sort of a hack, where this is like sort of scaling up in terms of like taking this older basis of technology and turning it into something that looks insane for what it is, right? So it's a different approach. And I think it's great. I really hope this fully comes to fruition. Do we know how far along it is?
There's no indication of release other than the fact that it is a non-commercial product, and they are purposefully, you know, describing it as such in the description, so that it doesn't get taken down at some point.
My only concern there is that by directly calling it Fallout, there is some potential issues that could arise.
Potentially,
but
yeah.
The thing is, though, is I feel like if you showed this to Todd Howard himself, I suspect he would love to support a project like this and get this made. Right. It's just a matter of whether the higher ups at Microsoft these days would take legal issues with what's happening here. It's very gray zone kind of stuff still, but like I really hope that this can get made, and even if they were forced to call it something other than Fallout, it would still achieve what it's trying to do, I think, visually.
Yeah.
And I guess what remains is like, how is this actually going to play out? What is this going to be as a game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it seems to be more real time and, not like Brotherhood of Steel, but like it seems a little bit more interactive from that first person perspective. And I'm excited about that aspect of it.
Personally, Alex, I would love to see like 90s style, ImSim style, immersive sim style gameplay applied to this aesthetic, where you're kind of like taking elements of Fallout, which also has, it's obviously more hardcore RPG, but like bits and pieces of all of that to create like the 90s, the PC game kind of thing. Right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a little aspects of that in the trailer, like when he's talking to the super mutant or whatever.
So we'll see. It could end up that way.
Yeah, but regarding the legality situation, one thing that I do think is a positive note is that Bethesda in the past has been very positive about fan remakes and stuff like that.
That's true. That's true.
There's the Sky Oblivion project, which is long going.
Exactly.
So I think this won't have those problems, but they were very explicit about that because that was in the old days. Obviously Microsoft is there now, and they have maybe a different take on this. Yeah. Yep. But this is something that we definitely really wanted to highlight because, and this is a game we would probably cover for the channel because it is such a unique visual experience. A lot of people, I think John and I have lamented it a lot in the past that there's always kind of a myopic look at how video games looked in the past. We saw for a long period of time every indie title was an 8-bit game. They did like you know what I mean? But people forgot that there were other like aesthetics that were defined by technology during that time period. Now we see a lot of, this is a PS1 remake. And they're all kind of like driven by popularity, and it's cool to see a more niche visual artifact from that era being brought up to like the modern standard and re-released again. That's kind of why stuff like Hypnospace Outlaw is also amazing for that very similar reason. So I also wanted to talk about Judero on the channel, but I didn't really get the opportunity. Another really weird game, and this is also my kind of weird, so I'm very excited to see where this goes in the future.
There's some special thanks here to Dave Oshry, CEO of New Blood Interactive, producer of Dusk, of course. I'm kind of curious why that's there. Did he make enhancements to GZDoom that this is using, or is it just?
I don't know.
I think the reason is because the artist who works on this, Alexander, I forget his last family name, but they are also working on a title for David Oshry's publishing arm that is going to be a Fallout style RPG with this very similar retro futuristic aesthetic. And I think maybe he's the special thanks there because he's, just a friend. Maybe help them out a little bit too. But I think that's the reason why the artist who works on Fallout Bakersfield here is also working on a title that Dave Oshry is producing.
Okay.
That's why I think it is.
Just seeing this aesthetic again, it got me thinking. I feel like before Todd retires, and maybe after, next games or whatever, I would like to see him return and do a new Terminator game.
Yes.
A sequel to the Terminator Skynet. That's what we need.
That's another game that has a really cool look to it. Like all the
it does.
faux 3D weapons and stuff.
X engine. Powered by.
I like that kind of stuff. I know, John, that was one game you looked at on your pre-DF Retro days, right?
Yeah, my personal channel. I did a curse word laden playthrough of my experience in DOSBox with that game, which is quite humorous, I suppose. But it's very much, it's from a different time period.
You're just young and angry.
Yeah,
I was kind of goofing on it, but in reality, I think it is a cool little game. It's obviously limited by things at the time. It doesn't play well by today's standards. Like, unlike say like Quake or something, which still plays amazing. Skynet, super rough game, but interesting game. And I would love to see them tackle that again somehow. I mean, based on the Terminator 2D stuff that's been happening, it does seem at least that the license is not out of reach. Certainly not for a company like Bethesda, right?
Mm-hmm.